One comedian ruined her career with a single tweet, while another had their career swiftly canceled due to accusations of exposing themselves, and another became one of the first ever victims of political correctness.
All we got is a big sign that says, "Welcome to Brooklyn, fourth largest city in America," with this dead fag hanging off the pole.
These are the comedians who were once adored across the globe, but soon became hated. We start with a comedian who was a trailblazer for the African-American entertainment industry, but whose downfall is seen as one of the most unforeseen in show business history. Bill Cosby began his career in the 1960s as a stand-up comedian, gaining national attention with his clean, storytelling-based, family-friendly style of humor.
I played a lot of football. I played when I was in the service. We played different teams. We played a prison team. And, no, really, prison teams are gas. They got the greatest football players in the world. Mostly because they have nothing to lose, you know. I mean, their starting 11 came off of death row, you know. They didn't care about nothing. Just kill, tackle you in the huddle everywhere, you know.
His breakthrough came with I Spy, making him the first black actor to star in a leading dramatic role on network television, and by the 1970s he was a household name through stand-up albums, educational shows like Fat Albert and The Cosby Kids, and commercial endorsements. His career would peak in the 1980s with The Cosby Show, a groundbreaking sitcom that dominated television ratings while reshaping public perceptions of black family life.
Yo.
Yo.
Hard to get good help, isn't it?
But what nobody saw coming was the stunning fall from grace that would soon befall the comic legend. Cosby's downfall began in the mid-2000s when allegations of sexual misconduct started to surface, but it would not be until 2014 that those accusations gained widespread attention. Comedian Hannibal Buress was one of the first to publicly call out Cosby's alleged history of indecent assault in a stand-up routine, which went viral and ignited public scrutiny.
I don't curse on stage. Well, yeah, you're a rapist, so... I'm like, Bill Cosby, there's a lot of rape allegations. No, you devil! That shit is upsetting. If you didn't know about it, trust me. When you leave here, Google Bill Cosby rape.
Before too long, dozens of women claimed to have been drugged and taken advantage of by the comic legend, and in 2018, Cosby was convicted of aggravated indecent assault for drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constand in 2004. He was then sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison and began serving his sentence at SCI Phoenix, a maximum security prison in Pennsylvania. However, in June of 2021, his conviction would be overturned by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court due to a violation of his due process rights, and he was released after serving nearly 3 years.
Good day. We're coming back on the air with more breaking news about Bill Cosby. The comedian was just released from prison, and Cosby served more than 2 years of a 3 to 10 year sentence.
The whole episode had a devastating effect on his career. In 2014, major networks would pull reruns of The Cosby Show, and Netflix canceled a planned stand-up special. By 2015, Cosby had been stripped of numerous honorary degrees, and the TV Academy removed his statue from its Hall of Fame.
Revoke Bill Cosby's Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Following his 2018 conviction, he became a pariah in the entertainment industry, with venues and organizations distancing themselves, and even after his 2021 release, attempts at a comeback were met with backlash, and he remains one of the most disgraced figures in comedy history. With the debate of should his body of work still be enjoyed by the general public raging on. The next performer was considered one of the first rock star comedians whose career fall was as rapid as his rise. Andrew Dice Clay exploded onto the comedy scene in the late 1980s with a raunchy and no-holds-barred brand of humor, selling out arenas, and even becoming the first comedian to sell out Madison Square Garden 2 nights in a row.
All we got is a big sign that says, "Welcome to Brooklyn, fourth largest city in America," with this dead fag hanging off the pole. They're not from this planet, let's face it. I don't see how any man could look at another guy's hairy ass and want to bang it, you know? I see a guy with a hairy ass, I want to give it a wash and blow dry, that's the extent.
At his peak, he starred in the 1990 film The Adventures of Ford Fairlane and landed a historic hosting gig on Saturday Night Live. His albums would go platinum. His raw, unapologetic stage persona made him a pop culture phenomenon.
They don't have a championship belt for comedians, but if they did, I would be the undisputed comedy king.
However, with the rise of political correctness, growing outrage over his offensive material would lead to boycotts, industry blacklisting, and a steep decline in his career.
What was the poem? That got me banned. I go, Georgie Porgy pudding and pie, jerked off in his girlfriend's eye. When her eye was dry and shut, Georgie fucked that one-eyed slut. But in the meantime, while I'm doing the act, Dick Clark goes to charge me, and Arsenio jumps on his back. And so the next day, there's this big meeting at MTV, and Rick Rubin was there, and, my people that I worked with, Sandy, all these, but it was the presidents that banning me for life.
He went from selling out arenas to performing in small comedy clubs just to stay in the game, and in the late 90s and early 2000s, he tried to reinvent himself, taking on reality TV gigs like Dice Undisputed while appearing on Celebrity Apprentice. He also dabbled in acting with small roles in shows like Entourage, and later gained critical praise for his performance in Blue Jasmine. But unfortunately, the Dice Man would never reach the heights that he achieved in the 80s and 90s again. Unlike Andrew Dice Clay, the next comedian's career plummeted overnight, with the release of one tweet that ruined her career. Roseanne Barr was born in Salt Lake City, Utah in 1952 and grew up in a working-class Jewish family. She got her beginning in comedy by performing stand-up in Denver and then later Los Angeles, where her raw and no-nonsense humor about blue-collar life and motherhood quickly gained attention.
It's hard to be married a long time and everything like that, It's really hard and everything, but they do bug you. This is what gets me, too, is that they always think that you're going to be the one that cleans everything, huh? Like they think that's your destiny to clean. And I guess their destinies have a couch surgically implanted on their behind. The man of your dreams, ladies, but 14 years later, you're married to a couch that burps.
Barr's big break came in 1985 when she performed on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, which catapulted her into the national spotlight.
So I'm fat, I thought I'd point that out. Have you ever noticed that fat people don't think like skinny people? We have our own way of thinking. Like, did you ever ask a fat person for directions? Because that is when the difference in thinking really shows, Because you go up to them on the street and ask them where something is, and they tell you like this, well, go down here to Arby's.
By 1988, she landed her own sitcom, Roseanne, which became a cultural phenomenon for its realistic portrayal of a working-class American family. The show was a massive success, making her one of the most powerful women in television, while earning her multiple awards, which included an Emmy and a Golden Globe. The show came to its conclusion in May of 1997 after 9 successful seasons, and in just under 20 years later, it was rebooted, with many of the original cast members involved. But only 2 months after the beginning of the rebooted series, Roseanne's resurgence came to a dramatic ending. In a racist tweet, she would refer to one of President Obama's advisors as a mixture of the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes. The offensive nature of the comment sparked immediate backlash, and within hours, the sitcom reboot had been canceled, and the ABC network releasing a statement that called the tweet abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with ABC's values. Disney CEO Bob Iger also backed the decision, saying that there was only one thing to do, and that was the right thing.
How hard was it to fire Roseanne?
Easy.
Was it? Was it?
It's easy.
Roseanne's talent agency, ICM Partners, would drop her as a client, severing ties amidst the growing controversy. Initially, Barr would be defensive, retweeting several attempts to justify her actions before issuing an apology claiming the tweet was a bad joke, and she also bizarrely attributed the comment to the effects of the sleep aid Ambien. The scandal not only ended her role in the entertainment industry, but also disrupted the livelihoods of her cast and crew, who had suddenly found themselves unemployed overnight. The show would soon be brought back, retitled as The Conners, but this time without Roseanne in the cast. Roseanne Barr would later appear on The Joe Rogan Show, attempting to tell her side of the story. Just like Roseanne Barr, comic actor Michael Richards' career ended with an uncharacteristically racist rant that had dramatic consequences for his career. Michael Richards began his career in comedy and acting in the late 1970s, performing stand-up and appearing in small television roles. He gained early recognition as a cast member on the sketch comedy show Fridays, before landing his breakthrough role as the quirky and unpredictable Cosmo Kramer on Seinfeld.
I'm out.
His performance on the show earned him 3 Emmy Awards for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series and cemented his place in television history. But it was during a stand-up set at the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles that Cosmo Kramer found himself caught up in a moment that would tarnish his career forever. In 2006, Michael Richards faced a major backlash after a racist outburst during a stand-up comedy performance at the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles.
50 years ago, you had your own tied down with a fucking fork up your ass. You can talk, you brave now, motherfucker. Rolls out, he's a nigger. He's a nigger. He's a nigger.
Richards later apologized publicly, including an appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman, where he expressed remorse and claimed that he was deeply disturbed by his own actions. But despite his apology, the controversy severely damaged his career, and he largely retreated from the public eye in the years that followed. Unlike Richards, comedian Ellen DeGeneres' career was decimated on social media, but this time her downfall came at the hands of another comedian. Ellen DeGeneres began her career in stand-up comedy in the early 1980s, performing in small clubs before gaining national attention with her appearance on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson in 1986.
A lot of people ask me, were you funny as a child? And no, I was an accountant. But,
In the 90s, she starred in the hit sitcom Ellen, which made history when her character came out as gay in 1997, mirroring DeGeneres' own public coming out. Despite a career setback after the show's cancellation, she made a triumphant return with The Ellen DeGeneres Show in 2003. It became one of the most successful daytime talk shows of all time, winning multiple Emmy Awards while cementing her status as a household name. But it would be the release of a tweet by comedian and podcast host Kevin T. Porter that undid her 30-year career. Right now, we all need a little kindness, like Ellen DeGeneres always talks about. She's also notoriously one of the meanest people alive. Respond to this with the most insane stories you've heard about Ellen. From that point on, Twitter would explode with tales of her nasty behavior. Everyone from staffers on her talk show to waitstaff at restaurants, all with tales of unrelenting nastiness from the talk show superstar. Every day she picks someone new to hate. It's not your fault, just suck it up for the day, and she'll be mean to someone else the next day. And my friend waited on her and she threw a plate of salmon in his face because it wasn't what she ordered. Things only continued to escalate in mid-2020 when BuzzFeed News published an expose detailing a toxic work environment on The Ellen DeGeneres Show. Former employees would accuse the show of fostering a culture of fear, with reports of racism, intimidation, and mistreatment behind the scenes. Ellen initially addressed the controversy with a public apology, but the damage had already been done. In 2021, she announced that the show would end after its 19th season, citing that she no longer found it challenging or fulfilling. Ratings had declined significantly, sponsors had pulled back, and A-list celebrities became more hesitant to appear on the show. In 2024, Ellen released a Netflix special in an attempt to redeem herself and has reportedly left the United States to live in the UK.
let me see what else I can tell you about that's been going on. Oh, yeah, I got kicked out of show business. Yeah.
While Ellen suffered a downfall brought upon her by the general public, the next jokester's canceling came about from within his own community of other comedians. Louis C.K. rose to fame as one of the most influential and acclaimed stand-up comedians of his generation, known for his raw and self-deprecating humor, along with his unfiltered observations on life, relationships, and human nature. But it was strange revelations about a tendency to reveal himself to others that brought the comedian's career undone. Louis C.K. began his career in the late 1980s performing stand-up in Boston's comedy clubs, all before moving on to New York City to pursue much bigger opportunities. He gained recognition as a talented writer, working on shows like The Late Show with David Letterman, Late Night with Conan O'Brien, and The Chris Rock Show, the latter earning him an Emmy. In the late 90s and early 2000s, he directed independent films and comedy specials, but it wouldn't be until the late 2000s he broke through as a major stand-up star.
Sorry. You ever wear a bathing suit because you ran out of clean underwear? I better not do that.
However, Louis C.K.'s career soon took a major hit in 2017 when multiple women accused him of sexual misconduct. The allegations, which had circulated as rumors for years, were confirmed in a New York Times expose where 5 women detailed instances where C.K. had gratified himself in front of them or engaged in other inappropriate behavior. Unlike some accused in the Me Too movement, C.K. admitted to the allegations when he released the following statement. I want to address the stories told to the New York Times by 5 women named Abby, Rebecca, Dana, and Julia, who felt able to name themselves. These stories are true. At the time, I said to myself that what I did was okay because I never showed a woman my dick without asking first, which is also true. Comedian Sarah Silverman, who was a good friend to C.K., also weighed in on the situation.
It's a real mind because I love Louis, but Louis did these things. Both of those statements are true. So I just keep asking myself, can you love someone who did bad things? Can you still love them?
As a result, Louis' projects were swiftly canceled. FX severed ties with him. His film I Love You Daddy was scrapped before release, and HBO removed his specials from their service. Netflix would also cancel a planned stand-up special, and Louis C.K. largely disappeared from the public eye. However, he did make a gradual comeback through independent stand-up shows, self-releasing comedy specials to his loyal fan base. Of the incident, C.K. has shown remorse for his actions on several occasions.
Also, you just have to accept it. It's all, and anybody who's been through anything will tell you that acceptance is how you survive anything.
And much like Andrew Dice Clay, comedian Gallagher found himself one of the earliest comedians who felt the full brunt of political correctness. Gallagher's break came when he appeared on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson in 1975, where his high-energy style and prop-based humor stood out.
When we send an overweight senator to Ethiopia to check on the hunger problem, I gotta say something, hey!
What truly set Gallagher apart was his signature routine, the Sledge-O-Matic, a parody of infomercial demonstrations in which he would smash watermelons and other objects with a massive mallet, drenching the front rows of his audience in the process.
K-Gang! El Bang Bang Grande! Ole!
However, what truly damaged his reputation were his increasingly controversial jokes and public persona. In the 2010s, Gallagher faced backlash for making what many had considered to be racist, homophobic, and politically charged remarks in his routines.
Why don't they have Walmarts in Iraq? Because they're all targets. Hey, now we're talking. I don't know if there's any Arab people here. I don't get them people. When it gets real hot, do you put a blanket over your head? No, I don't get it.
His 2011 interview with Marc Maron on WTF with Marc Maron turned into a tense confrontation, with Gallagher storming out after being questioned about his offensive material.
I'm not. I'm just saying
You are.
Why
did you want me to do this interview if you don't think I know anything about what you're asking me about?
I'm just telling. You're done? We were having a good conversation.
Additionally, legal and personal troubles further tainted his legacy. He had financial issues, suffered multiple heart attacks, and feuded with his own brother Ron, who performed an unauthorized imitation of his act. Although he remained active in comedy until his death in 2022, his later years were overshadowed by his divisive reputation rather than the widespread popularity that he had once enjoyed. While Gallagher's over-the-top watermelon-smashing act eventually fell out of favor, another eccentric comedian, Andy Dick, took unpredictability to a whole new level. Only his chaotic behavior would cost him far more than just his audience's attention. Andy Dick's early career was full of promise, showcasing his sharp comedic timing and eccentric energy, and in the mid-1990s he gained national attention as a cast member on The Ben Stiller Show, a short-lived but highly influential sketch comedy series. His breakthrough came in 1995 when he joined the NBC sitcom News Radio, playing the quirky and childlike news reporter Matthew Brock.
At least give me a hand with this thing. Oh!
Stay still, man. Right.
Don't you spray me with that, Joseph.
All right.
Okay, spray me.
During this time, he also made guest appearances on popular shows like The Nanny and Just Shoot Me, while branching into film with supporting roles in Reality Bites and Inspector Gadget. With his distinctive voice and manic energy, he also found success in voice acting, including as the lead character in MTV's animated series Clone High. However, even in these early years, his off-screen antics and struggles with addiction were already starting to overshadow his talent, setting the stage for his later downfall. Over the years, Dick faced an almost endless slew of accusations of inappropriate touching, SA, and indecent assault. One of the earliest major incidents was in 2007 when he was removed from Jimmy Kimmel Live for inappropriately touching Ivanka Trump. Kimmel personally had to restrain Dick before eventually being dragged off by security.
Get him by his feet! Get him by...
But of course, that was only a taste of the trouble the comedian would get himself into over the years. In October of 2017, Dick was fired from a role in the independent film Raising Buchanan due to allegations of inappropriate behavior that, according to The Hollywood Reporter, included groping people's genitals, unwanted kissing and licking, and sexual propositions of at least 4 members of the production. The actor's also been caught on camera multiple times engaging in erratic, illegal, and outright bizarre behavior. In 2022, he live-streamed his own arrest, with police taking the actor away while he was still broadcasting. Then there was the time that the comedian came off second best while in an altercation with an Uber driver.
Boy!
Sadly, it is this endless litany of allegations that has left a permanent mark on Andy Dick's reputation, and unfortunately the actor has never been able to reach the same career highs that he once achieved in the 1990s. So there it is. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and make sure that you share it with a friend. Also, subscribe to the channel so that you never miss out on another video from Project Hysteria. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.